front brake rotors and caliper. This is just so beautiful that I had to do a little video of it. I did not put the pads in yet. I wanted to make sure that everything turns freely without binding. I had a little bit of a binding issue in the back, and I had to put a washer in between the bracket and the caliper in order to space it out a little bit. So I have this all put together. No brake pads in here. I had to put the nuts on to make sure that the rotor is on tightly and doesn't wiggle. And it spins beautifully. No contact anywhere. So hopefully when I put the pads in, I'll have just as much clearance. It'll be smooth, no binding, no grinding. I do have an issue with my brake line. So as you can see here, here's the banjo bolt on this Super Duty axle. So the brake line comes into here, the new stainless steel brake line I got. But the factory line comes out in front of the coil. So, and it's not long enough for me to wrap around the coil and come back down this way. So I'm gonna have to reroute this line over to the back side. I'll use one of these holes here. So as the stainless line will just come up from here and then up to the frame somewheres here. Just got the drive shaft back from the balance shop. Everything was good. They were able to reuse all of the parts of my original drive shaft. All they did was replace my old hanger bearing. They say I did a decent job of grinding out the yokes at the ends of the shaft. So they didn't have to replace the yokes. They didn't have to replace the tubing itself. So whenever you do your drive shaft and you need to shorten it up however you need, as short as you need, just go slow, take your time, so as it doesn't cost you a ton of money. So instead of me having to pay $400 for a brand new drive shaft, this cost me $261 to be exact. $261. So this is the two-wheel drive steering box, used with a Rough Country drop pitman arm, connected to the Barnes four-wheel drive steering kit. And it goes over to the Barnes four-wheel drive high steer, weld on to your knuckle stuff. So this steering setup is going to be much safer than the factory K series steering setup that goes from the box over to this driver's side knuckle, which is just ridiculous. I don't see how they ever got that to work to begin with. Rough Country dual steering stabilizer kit. So if you have an 05 to 19 Ford F-250 Super Duty, or if you have just their front axle, you're gonna want this kit, the dual steering stabilizer kit. So I thought I would do a little bit of an unboxing video, and then I realized we don't have time for that. So we went ahead and installed it. So this is the dual steering stabilizer kit from Rough Country, and we have the Barnes weld-on high steer knuckles and the Barnes four-wheel drive steering system. So if anyone was wondering if this kit would work with your high steer kit, it sure does. Now, some would say I negated the purpose of having a high steer kit because this dual steering stabilizer kit is kind of low, but the high steer kit is also used for proper steering geometry, not just for getting the tie rod out of the way of obstacles. So this being a 99% road going vehicle, we don't need to have the high steer kit operating as an off-road vehicle would. There has been 3 or 4 questions about the lift on this vehicle and the tires on this vehicle. We started the lift with the 4-inch Rough Country leaf springs and then added the 2.5-inch off-road design shackle flip kit. Once we got this installed, we leveled the front with FabTech 4-inch coilovers. Now these 4-inch coilovers are not made for this vehicle. They're made for the Ford Super Duty. And I figured let's do that because I'm using Super Duty axles. So, and they're much easier to install in my opinion than initially I had coil springs in here, and it was not working out. It was hard for me to get those coil springs to line up properly. So as you see, I have a shock hoop, and the shock hoop is mounted right on top of the frame. Same thing on the other side. And I have this spreader bar here to help distribute the weight and the stress of this coilover. Once I pull the engine out, I'm going to reinforce it some more because I don't think it's strong enough as it is, and I'm sure you guys agree. On the driver's side, there's a lot of different things in the way giving us problems. The master cylinder was giving us problems. I had to clearance that. The steering arm coming from the steering box, that was very close. I had to grind it a little bit. You can see a little bit of a shiny ring on there. Also, I would like to move the axle forward, but you can see how close the pitman arm is to the track bar. So this is where it had to go, unless I would move the box forward, but I don't think it's worth it. The tires. The tires are 37-inch rolling big power. What are they? Oh yes, rolling big power repulsor. 37 by 1350 by 22. 22-inch ballistic rims. Our 1988 Chevrolet C20 four-wheel drive conversion. This is the maiden Voyage. Go ahead, Nathan. Start it up.